Welcome, boys and girls, to another edition of Burbank High Chemistry Labs. I'm here with Mr. Iwan, and we are going to do one of my favorite labs. We're going to burn a couple of your favorite snack treats. We got Doritos and we got Fritos. And the reason why we are going to burn these two foods is we want to see how much usable energy comes out of the food, right? The same amount of energy that your body could use when you eat it. All right, so we're gonna burn it, and if you look right here, we are gonna burn it right here, and we're gonna send energy. The energy that leaves the food will go into the water that's in the aluminum can. So we're gonna heat up the water in the aluminum can. Okay. And then if you look up here, we're going to take the initial temperature of the water in the aluminum can. We're going to take the final temperature. We'll get the change in temperature of the water. We'll plug that in right here, along with the mass of the water and along with the specific heat capacity of the water. Then we multiply those three things together. We'll get the amount of heat that went into the water. And we're going to assume that that exact amount of heat that went into the water is the exact amount of heat or usable energy that came out of the Frito or Dorito. Okay? And then you and your teacher will do the calculations in class. Just so you know, right? You can also write this equation, Q equals M delta TC. Different teachers use same formula, just different symbols. Okay? All right, so let's get started. This should be fun. Real quick, I need some energy. Left. Okay. Oh, by the way, children, me and Mr. Iwan were discussing this. These are not the healthiest things to eat. So, don't eat them all the time. All right. So first thing we're going to do, and if you take a look at the lab handout, we got to do that. Put that in there. Okay.
Yeah, hold up.
What up?
Yeah, there.
All right, so there's space to do 4 different foods.
Get down a little bit.
Oh.
A little bit.
A little more.
There.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
If you look at the data table here that we're going to collect, the top table is the data collection table. We're only going to do 2 foods. Normally we would do, 4. You guys would do 4. All right, but we get the point across just by doing Fritos and Cheetos, or Fritos and Doritos. Okay, so the first thing we got to collect, right, is the mass of the sample dish and tweezer, and we'll explain why we're doing that in a minute. So let's do that. Okay, so we have a petri dish. That's the dish. We have tweezer, because normally, you guys don't want to touch the food, so there would be you'd come and grab it with a tweezer, put it here. And then, okay, so you gotta weigh it. So we're weighing the dish, the Dorito, and the tweezer. So I'm gonna write Dorito on the list. Do you have a pencil, Mr. Hunt? I see one right here, thank you.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so the first food is the Dorito. Okay, and we're gonna weigh it. All right, just weigh, right? Again, if you notice, I'm weighing 3 things: the dish, the food, and the tweezer, and you'll see why later. All right, so 51.16 grams. Put that down. All right, so now what we gotta do is we gotta add some water to the can, and we gotta measure the specific volume. We can use tap water for this experiment since we don't need pure water. So let's just do that. Let's put a little more in there. All right. Doesn't have to be any specific amount, just a good size, but whatever it is, you gotta measure it, right? Now remember, since each line on this graduated cylinder is 1 milliliter, I gotta estimate to the 10th place. So that's, oh, here we go again with the eyesight thing. What? Oh, it's 50. 54.4, I'm gonna say. That's my I estimated the 10th place at 0.4, so it's 54.4 milliliters. Okay, that's how much I'm gonna put in the can here. And I spilled some, so let me do it over again. Okay, so again, I spilled the last sample, so we're gonna do it again. All right, and again, since each line on this graduated cylinder is 1 milliliter, we're gonna estimate to the 10th place, and just shy of 60, so I'm gonna say 59.8. That's what it looks like, okay? So 59.8. All right. All right, so now I gotta pour it in carefully this time. There we go. Careful. Steady hand, like a surgeon. There we go. All right. All right. So we're gonna set it up like so. All right, now the next thing we gotta do is we gotta take the initial temperature of the water. Okay? So put that in there. Let it sit for a minute, 30 seconds, just for the thermometer to stabilize, and we'll take the initial temperature. Should be, you know, low 20s, high teens, right? That's room temperature in Celsius. So I think we let it sit for about a minute. Let's see what the temperature is of this guy, of the water. Ooh, it's chilly. Yeah. Now again, the thermometer, like the graduated cylinder, each line is 1. So I'm going to estimate to the 10th, and I would say 19.5. Okay, so 19.5 degrees Celsius is the temperature of the water. Okay, so we got our initial temperature. And we're going to get the mass of the water by using the milliliters that I poured in and the density of liquid water, which is just 1 gram per milliliter. So we'll get the mass from that. We have our initial temperature. The CP is 4.18 joules per gram per degree Celsius for water. So all we need is the final temperature of the water, and then we'll get the change in temperature, and then we'll multiply these 3 together. Okay? But how do we get the final temperature? Well, here we go. So we're going to take our food, put it underneath like that, set this up. You can take the thermometer out, and then I'm gonna quickly put it back in after I heat the food up. Okay. All right. Now, so I'm gonna take a match. Okay, now this is a big Dorito piece, so it is going to, you guys will probably be surprised at how much energy comes out of a single Dorito chip. All right. And I'll hold it, just get it going. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna hold the chip like that. Mr. Armin's gonna light it from the bottom so it crawls up there. All right. And watch what happens. Yeah, you might need to light it from the bottom or something so it kind of crawls up. There. Look at that.
Is it working?
Mm-hmm. All right, so look at all that juicy energy coming out of the Dorito chip. And when we talk about light, oh my God, it's on fire! Don't panic! Don't panic! Okay. Unfortunately, that chip dropped, but I have another tweezer right here. Ow. Look at this. Okay, the goal is to try to get as much energy that's coming out of the Dorito and get it into the can, right? Get it into the water. All right. Ah! hear the water heating up quite high.
It's burning, Mr. Sweet.
It's on fire! Ah!
Don't panic.
Mr. Iwan, it's on fire! Don't panic. Some students relish the fire, others freak out. But anyway, it's almost done. Now, I think you guys realize at this point that this is not going to be the most accurate lab, because we're just kind of barbecuing these chips. Now in a high-tech lab, but this is how they figure out how much calories is in food. They actually burn the food, but they control it much better. We'll talk about that in class. All right, so I use this tweezer. Okay, so that's it. Now I got a really quick, okay, so we just finished burning the food. So I really got to quickly take the temperature of the water before it cools down. So I'll give it a minute here. And while that's doing that, you can take a look. Can you see it?
Let me zoom in.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so this is the leftover food. There's still energy in that charred Dorito. It's just energy that your body can't use. So of course you would release this as waste, right? And look how oily these foods are. So, right, it might make you think twice before eating some of this stuff sometimes. Okay, but anyway, that is the food that is not usable by your body. Okay, so we're gonna weigh this again with the tweezers and the dish. But first, let's take the temperature. I think it's pretty much stopped rising, and it went up to over 58.7. That's gonna be my estimation. So it started at 19.5 and went all the way up to 58.7. So I'm gonna write that here. All right. So the last thing we need to do for this Dorito is weigh the food that is left over. So we're just gonna weigh the three things again. So we'll put it on the scale. And it should weigh less because, right, you burned off food, 49.13 grams, so it weighs less than it did before by about 2 grams. What was it?
49.13.
1.3, yeah, okay. Wow, that was a big Dorito chip.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look at the data, real quick, right, we have, bring it up. We have Dorito, there's the initial mass, there's the final mass. So we took it in some mass there, of the food. And then here's the volume of the water, and then here's the two temperatures, right? Went from 19.5 up to 58.7. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna start it next with the Frito. Just do 2 and that'll be it. And then we'll do these calculations as in our classes.
Okay. Action.
All right, boys and girls. Now we're gonna do the Frito. No, I'm eating that one. Careful, these can be kind of addicting. All right, let me get a good piece in here. Ooh, this one's good. Okay. All right, so same thing. We're gonna weigh the tweezer, the Frito, and the Petri dish on the scale. Get that taken care of. So that's 45.94. Okay. I'm going to get a new sample of water. You should get a new sample of water each time. All right, that's good enough. All right, we'll just do it real quick. Again, 50, right between 54 and 55. So I'm going to say 54.5. Okay, 54.5. Let's take the temperature. Give it a second there. Whoops. That's good enough. Thanks. All right.
Got to put the water in first. That's why it's not working. Okay. Now,
Okay, so I got my 54.5 sample of water. I'm gonna, of course, like a surgeon, pour it in there.
Dawn song, like a surgeon.
Like a surgeon, yeah.
Weird Al Yankovic.
Sliced for the very first. Okay. Use my. All right. Was that a Weird Al song? Did he do Like a Surgeon?
Mm-hmm.
He did.
Like a surgeon.
Okay. Showing our age. Yeah. Whew.
Most kids don't know what we're talking about.
They have no idea. All right. Okay, so I put the water in there. Now it's time to take the temperature. We'll give it a second, maybe a minute.
There we go.
All right. All right, so the temperature, the initial temperature of the water for this one is 20.9.
Okay.
So 20.9. All right, so it's time to heat the food up. Okay, we have our initial temperature of the water. Okay. All right, so let's see what Fritos gives us. Whenever you're ready, Mr. I want to light it.
Okay.
We can get started. I'm going to hold it as close to the can as I can so that as much energy goes into the can. All right? And you keep the Petri dish down. All right. Ah. Yeah, there it goes. Ah. All right, so now we're burning a little Frito action there. Okay, I'm gonna hold it. You know, do this to keep the flame in there. All right, so we're burning Fritos. Wow, look at that. This way?
Yeah, this.
Okay, you can see that Frito is on fire. I gotta be careful with my thumb, I don't want it to burn. Okay, so all that energy that's coming out of the Frito, that's what you get. You don't get the flame, of course, because there's no air inside your body. But we'll talk about that when we talk about light. Okay, but the energy coming out, that's what you get. Ow, my thumb's getting down. Ouch.
Is that oil?
Yeah, look at that oil coming out. I don't know what kind of oil that is. Corn oil, I think. I guess we could look on the ingredients.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, all right, so let's take the temperature real quick before it cools down. Oh, I had it in there the whole time, that'll work. Okay, so the temperature rose to 52 point, just shy of 53, so I'm gonna say 52.8. Yeah, looks good, okay. So it went up over 30 degrees. All right, so the last thing we need to do is just weigh the Petri dish with the burned food, the unused food, and the tweezers. And the reason why we weigh the tweezers with it is because some of the times the food gets stuck on the tweezers. So we just weigh all three, and then you'll see we're gonna subtract the weights in class. Okay? We're just gonna weigh it real quick. 45.08, as long as it weighs less than the original, which it does. All right. All right, so we only did 2 out of 4 foods, just in the interest of time, but you get the idea. Okay, so there's Dorito information, and there's the Frito information, okay? And we will do the calculations together as a group, and it's a very interesting lab. All right, and that is the food calorie lab for the energy unit. So